Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. This is Jessop's Journal.
Hey, Brandon, great to see you.
Hey,
Let's go chat.
it's time to sign into Jessop's Journal.
Great. It's a privilege.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Jessop's Journal from the Urban Lounge. With me today, Brandon Fugal. Brandon, thanks for coming on.
It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
If you're in Utah, people know your name. Now, they may not remember where the heck they've seen your name, but it's like freaking everywhere because you're on billboards and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Why? Explain to somebody that's not from Utah, why in the world that your name's all over the
Yeah,
place?
I have the privilege of representing hundreds of high-profile projects across the entire Wasatch Front. In fact, I think I have projects in 25 municipalities right now. So we know that no matter what happens with the economy, at least I'm making the sign companies rich.
That is true. So yeah, your hand is kind of like in real estate all over the place.
Yeah.
And obviously you didn't just wake up one day and say, geez, I'm going to be the real estate mogul of Utah. So where did you grow up?
Yeah, Pleasant Grove, Utah, where I've lived almost my entire life with the exception of 2 years in Hawaii, of all places.
Okay.
I still reside in Pleasant Grove and intend to die there, essentially.
Okay. Do you have a house in Hawaii?
No, I have property in Hawaii.
Okay, well, there you go. I knew you
I have a
had
development project in Hawaii. Yeah.
Now, we did do the social distancing, and had the masks and everything, but, before we forget, we got to do the hand sanitizing here.
You bet.
Thanks to the folks at Five Wives. Yes, they do make adult beverages as well. So, so there we're doing the hand sanitizing stuff. But that's kind of actually one of the things that I look at this and I wonder, how has COVID impacted the commercial real estate business? Because there's so many people working from home now, that's got to have had some kind of impact.
You bet. Remote working has had a significant impact on the office sector, entertainment, hospitality in particular. People have had to adapt and have had to get creative when it comes to doing business and interacting with each other through this challenging time. But, there's no replacement for that person-to-person interaction, and we're seeing that, even with remote working being kind of a factor that we've all had to really adapt to, I think that you can't really sustain this long term, in my opinion.
It's like if I have to have another Zoom call, I think I'm going to scream. But
yeah, Zoom fatigue is real. It's very difficult to build relationships of trust through a Zoom call or relationship, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think it's challenging for a company to maintain its culture or any degree of accountability through a remote working environment, with very few exceptions. And I think that is one of the things that that the world is waking up to in really laboring through this pandemic.
It's going to be interesting to see if we, when everybody starts getting back together, is it going to be the wing thing, or are the handshakes going to come back?
Well, or maybe bowing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, do you have properties in Asia?
I do not.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We have offices in Asia.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
But I personally do not.
Well, in a previous life, I actually used to work with a company that we did a lot with the Asian broadcasters. So yes, I am adept at doing the bowing and all
You
that
bet.
stuff. So yeah, there are cultural things.
Yeah, well, you avoid the handshaking,
Yeah, that is true.
and it's a formal gesture.
There's a part of me that just wonders, little Brandon Fugal back in the day. Were you carrying a briefcase back then, or what?
Even though I watched Family Ties with a young, Michael J. Fox, I grew up, in small town USA in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and at first you wouldn't think that I would be drawn to business from a young age, but at age 13, my father received a book on Father's Day called Iacocca, which was the great autobiography of the automotive icon Lee Iacocca. I picked that book up that weekend and out of curiosity started reading it, and I ended up reading it cover to cover, and it changed my whole worldview as a junior high schooler. And by the time I was a junior and senior in high school, I had my own subscriptions to the Wall Street Journal and Business Week, and was just obsessed with business. And really, who are the players? Who are the main influencers, entrepreneurs, the people that really change our world? And I found from a young age, as I was entering the tail end of my senior year in high school, that commercial real estate was an ideal career path that would afford me the opportunity to work with the captains of industry, the entrepreneurs, the people that I was reading about that were gracing the covers of these periodicals. And at age 18, 1 week out of high school, I jumped into commercial real estate with a focus on office brokerage and corporate requirements that have carried me through to this day.
18.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I jumped in at a very young age. I also, developed a proprietary database at an early age that tracked the market, not only the inventory from one end of the state to the other, but also the companies and the executives that were really inhabiting these workspaces, and developed my own crystal ball as far as gathering market intelligence and being able to anticipate who the most likely prospects and players would be in the future that would change our skyline. From an early point in my career, I identified that developing proprietary market intelligence would give me a competitive edge. Yeah. And really focusing on intelligence and matching that with a work ethic and a passion for working with people, and really being a business infrastructure expert, not a real estate broker or agent or a commissioned salesperson, but someone who would be delivering a service that would be advising captains of industry relative to their growth strategies was important to me, and I think my focus.
So more of a consultant view.
Correct.
Okay. So this begs the question, and usually I say babysitting doesn't count, but what was your first paying job?
Boy, first paying job was either washing glassware in a laboratory at BYU, and I got a part-time job washing these baubles, these glassware instruments that were used in a laboratory, or really my most notable first real paying job was in construction, digging ditches.
Really?
So my entire teenage existence was involving working out on construction crews.
There you go.
In fact, at age 15, I was put out on a crew digging ditches, putting in telephone lines and later gas lines, and it taught me the value of hard work and working with a diversity of personalities, and being able to really, I think, develop an ethic that has carried me through to this day.
I see these buildings that basically have got, your thumbprint on them.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder if those guys working on the buildings realize that you used to do kind of what they used to do.
Probably not. I think we all take for granted, and don't realize, that everyone starts from small beginnings. I mean, everyone, every great business started in someone's garage or basement or on the back of a napkin.
It's funny when you hear those stories; those are real.
Yeah.
So, what is your definition of an entrepreneur?
Really, anyone who really looks to bring a service or a product to market and is trying to come up with a better mousetrap, a better way to serve their community and mankind. I mean, an entrepreneur is really providing a service, whether that service is a product or some other value add. Depends on the area of focus.
Right. There's this show on ABC called Shark Tank, and Utah has like one of the highest appearance rates in the country with Shark Tank.
You bet.
So I get to interview a lot of those people, and an idea is one thing. An entrepreneur coming up with an idea is one thing, but to actually put it into action is the hard part.
Well, to be able to take an idea and take it all the way through to commercialization, to productization, and bring it to market, and be able to make it a success. I mean, execution is such an incredible ingredient in success and really an entrepreneur's path. And I think the ability to execute on that dream, that vision, that strategy is a key differentiator between entrepreneurs and
And dreamers?
the people that ultimately.
Yeah, there is a difference between a dreamer and an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Going back in time, do you remember one of those early deals that you did where you helped an entrepreneur, a person that had an idea that went from a garage to saying, I now need to get into a commercial building. I need to make this thing work?
You bet. Numerous examples. Countless experiences that I've had working with entrepreneurs, with visionaries that were literally starting off in their garage or in a scrappy little office.
Give me a couple examples.
There's a company called Ancestry.
Oh, yeah.
I was contacted back in the late 90s and by the operating executive with the company called Ancestry, and he said, we publish a periodical for genealogists all over the world, and we're looking to establish an online web presence that is really going to propel our business to the next level. And we just have a handful of us in the old WordPerfect publishing space behind the Orem Post Office, but we anticipate experiencing growth in the future, and we need some help with that. Would you be willing to sit down with us and help us kind of with our growth strategy as we look at taking the leap from 2,000 square feet to needing larger space? And so,
they're in a couple more
Yeah.
feet now. How many square feet do you think they're in now?
well, their headquarters that I put them in,
Yeah.
just a couple of years ago, is 200,000 square
Whoa,
feet.
okay, it's
In Lehi, Utah. But it was funny, working with them and seeing their growth from 2,000 square feet to hundreds of thousands of square feet, and really being one of the, I think, most successful online enterprises and websites in history has been really gratifying. Another company, Fusion.io, which was a homegrown Utah tech company. They developed really a solid state, high-speed drive, disk drive system. Fusion.io, I started working with them when they were but 6 people operating out of donated space, living off their credit cards, and to be able to see them through every stage of their growth, from 6 employees to 600 plus, and ultimately to $1 billion IPO, and ultimately acquisition was quite exciting. And I think that's one of the most gratifying parts of my business. Being primarily in the business of commercial real estate affords me the opportunity to interact with visionaries, entrepreneurs, captains of industry in virtually every sector of our economy. And to be able to see a tangible manifestation of one's labors, to be able to have this seat at the table and to be able to assist and advise those that are literally changing the landscape of our world is it's a thrill.
Oh yeah, because I've done stories where you say, okay, the little company, then you, and that is such a rush to be able to say, I knew those guys back then. And for you to be able to say, yeah, I helped these guys, boom, 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 and to see that pay out, that has got to be ultra gratifying.
Well, to be able to help build community and to have your fingerprints on the literal skyline is a great privilege. And it's something that has driven me since I was a teenager.
I did a story with JT Steel, okay? And, they're the guys that provided the steel for the polar bear, enclosures at Hogle Zoo. But then he tells me about driving down the road with his grandkid, and they're going, and the grandkids are saying, Pop made that one and that one and that one.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those buildings have your fingerprints on them as well.
Yeah, no, it's been a great privilege to work with so many incredible leaders.
Okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Okay, so Brandon Fugal, he's got this crystal ball.
Right.
Okay, So COVID is kind of crazy things, but now you got immunizations coming, and it seems like, knock on wood, that things are going to come back to, I don't know, I would say a new normal. I don't think we're going to ever go back to what it was.
We'll see the market stabilize.
But what do you see as the new trends, that little thing where you got your notebook saying, okay, here are the things that are going to happen, okay? Just I'm looking for a little tip here, okay, Brandon?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit counterintuitive just to a lot of the gloom and doomers out there that are predicting the demise of the workplace.
Okay.
With everyone working remotely, or a large percentage of our world shifting to work from home. I predict that our workspaces will become more important than ever. That where we come together, where we collaborate, where we innovate, will become even more important. And I think this whole crisis that we've been living through is not only going to underscore the importance of the workplace, but also drive innovators, drive business leaders to I think, prioritize those spaces in a way that we haven't seen before. I think quality of life and quality of that experience, and the ability to create the right type of environment for people to thrive, to interact, and to really, I think, propel growth and innovation will be key.
So Brandon, there's this one question that I ask everybody, because it's Jessop's Journal, and the folks at Rustico make my journal. They have this hashtag called Leave Your Mark. So Brandon Fugal, how do you want to leave your mark?
Market domination. That has been my goal since I was 18. If we were to get into a time machine and travel back to 1991, to my 18-year-old self, jumping into the commercial real estate business, and we were to ask me, what is your goal? What is your primary objective? I would have told you back then, total market domination. And it continues to drive me.
I think you're doing a pretty good job at that.
Well, you're only as good as your next deal.
That is true.
And,
that is very true.
Yeah, the one thing I've been able to do effectively is psych myself out every day to really feel a sense of urgency that I'm perpetually unemployed. And with every project completed, you're essentially unemployed and needing to go out and fill the pipeline, if you will.
Well, I'm glad I'm on your Rolodex, so thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
And thanks again for coming. A couple other people we want to thank. Of course, we did the hand sanitizing, with Five Wise. Yes, they do make adult beverages. Rustico, of course, makes my journals. Taylor Cooperative is the guys that make my clothes. Clear nasal spray. Okay, now, here's a strange one for you, okay? You wash your hands, but have you thought about, not kidding, washing your nose? Okay, Clear. I have American Fork. These guys have figured out a way so that you prevent the COVID thing from sticking to your nose.
Wow.
What a deal,
It sounds compelling.
It is. And then, of course, don't forget JW Custom Hats. Here's the thing I want people to remember. Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. With another entry in a Jessop's Journal and Brandon Fugal, I'm Doug Jessop, ABC4 News.